Welcome, everyone, to the premiere episode of Boxing Scene Today. What is Boxing Scene Today? It's where we deal with all the boxing headlines in studio right here at ProBox TV. That means everything outside of ProBox TV, whatever's going on in the boxing world. Not only do we have the experts here in studio, I'll bring them in a second, but we'll be talking to all of the boxing minds making headlines right now in this informal chat right here in the ProBox TV studios. Right now, in studio, Jimmy Smith alongside Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, joining us via Zoom. And for some reason, because we couldn't get anybody else to work with us, we have J-Rod doing something. Go ahead, explain it, J-Rod, because I have no idea why you're here.
Listen, I know it's hard to recognize me without my better side jacket, but listen, no, I am the voice of the people. I am the community, right? I will be reading super chats on the air through our YouTube page. We're going to be on the ProBox TV YouTube page to start here on Boxing Scene Today. Then we're going to move over to the Boxing Scene YouTube page where you can hit us up on our X page, on our Instagram page, over at Boxing Scene. We will be taking care of business, getting the champs' opinion, the newsmakers' opinion. You know, that's what I am, man of the people. So one thing that the people saw, we saw some new champions this weekend. Let's take a look at some headlines. Well, Keyshawn Davis did it, man. He went to the theater at Madison Square Garden and knocked off Dennis Berinchik over at the theater at Madison Square Garden to be the new lightweight champion of the world. Fellas, impressive stuff.
You were ringside. You had a better view than anybody, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, listen, fighting in the Garden is something special. The theater at Madison Square Garden is fantastic. I fought there a bunch of times. To win your world title there, your first one, is truly a dream come true for a guy like Keyshawn Davis. First of many, by the way. I mean, this kid is absolutely incredible. Tremendous performance. And he's unique in that as he stepped up in class, he's getting more knockouts. He's getting more destructive. I mean, he stopped the guy who, by all intents and purposes, everyone would agree this guy was extremely awkward, extremely difficult to deal with, extremely effective. He had absolutely nothing for Keyshawn. Stops him in the fourth round with a single body shot. I mean, just a beautiful left hook to the liver. Berinchik takes a full 10 count, gives up his title, and Keyshawn Davis is now a lightweight world champion.
Paulie, he got broken in that fight. You know, Chris talks about the body shots. They were there from the beginning. Berinchik just got broken down in this fight. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, he might have been a little smaller, you know, as Keyshawn was referencing during the week. He might have been just too old to deal with the intensity of a young phenom like Keyshawn Davis. I'll tell you what, Virginia doesn't always make world lightweight champions, but when they do, they make some damn good ones. We've had Pernell Whitaker, and we've got Keyshawn Davis, and both happen to be from Norfolk, Virginia. Very good performance, and like I agree with the champ, one of the first of many.
At 36 years old, one of the questions, of course, is the story going to be, you know, Berinchik was a little bit old, Keyshawn Davis a little bit younger, or is it going to be about the technique of Keyshawn Davis? Is this the coming out party, or will there still be questions to you, Chris?
No, I don't think it's going to be one of those age factors that, Keyshawn just got him at the right time. Dude, this guy just beat Emmanuel Navarrete. He was a big underdog in that fight, was supposed to be a stepping stone, was supposed to be an opponent for Navarrete to pick up another world title in a new weight class. Guess what? He upsets the apple cart. He was the underdog once again, this time actually as the champion, fighting Keyshawn Davis, a rising star. But listen, it's only his 14th pro fight. So Keyshawn Davis, now a world champion in his 14th pro fight, which the only other person to do it in that few of fights was Oscar De La Hoya. I think Lomachenko did it a little bit less, but Oscar De La Hoya and Keyshawn Davis both had 14 fights before winning a lightweight world championship. So I don't think it has anything to do with the age of Berinchik or who Berinchik was in this fight. It's just that this was the anointing of Keyshawn Davis as a current and future star.
A lot of people talk about the mental focus, Paulie, where, you know, obviously the package sent to his room, a lot of people think it was Teofimo Lopez that sent it to him, but there was a lot of, like, you know, mean-spirited stuff going on. Davis stayed professional, was able to stay focused. Do you give him credit for that?
No, I think actually I give him credit more for getting his game face on. I think he's one of those things. I remember they used to say, like, Michael Jordan used to get himself motivated for anything. He used to make up stuff. I feel like deep inside, you had to know that package probably wasn't from Berinchik, but he used it as motivation. He used it to just get his game face on. He just used everything to sort of attract the best of himself and bring the best.
Yeah, champ, you know, all week Keyshawn was saying, he goes, yeah, you know, because we kept asking him about, you know, everyone was asking all the media about, you know, how was he dealing with the pressures and the stress and the drama that was surrounding his fight week. Nothing new for him. He had a big issue before his last fight as well. I think his sisters got into a car accident like right before the fight. They turned out to be okay, thank God. But, he just said, he was like, yo, the best put it behind them, and they just go out there and do what they do. So regardless of what was going on before the fight, whether Barcia got anything to do with it or not, to your point, Champ, I think that Keyshawn, just like you said, took that in, internalized that, and used it as fuel to go out there and do what he was there to do anyway.
Yeah, there's no rest for champions, as you guys well know. And so the community is asking, well, what is next for Keyshawn Davis? Are we talking unification? I mean, he's good buddies with Shakur Stevenson. We're going to see Shakur this weekend in Riyadh. Tank's out there. What's next, fellas?
That's the big question. Yeah.
Keyshawn's not fighting Shakur. That's not happening anytime soon. Both they're buddies. They've both gone on air and publicly and said that they're not going to fight each other. There's other people who are out there. Personally, I would like to see Lomachenko and Keyshawn next, if possible, because I don't think we're going to see Tank and Keyshawn in the very near future. So in the meantime, let's go with a living legend in Vasily Lomachenko. Let's see what the young buck can do with someone of that level, see how much Lomachenko has left. I think that's a great fight.
Paulie, what's your vote for next lightweight fight for Davis?
I think there's a sort of a storyline there in fighting Lomachenko because he just beat Baranchyk, so Lomachenko could be the storyline. But I also think Lomachenko's kind of sick and tired of boxing, from what I gather. I'm not sure that he's going to want to come back unless there's probably so much money on the table that it's not worth it. I just hope the lightweight division actually turns these fights over. I'm surprised at how fast the lightweight division got so good after the previous generation sort of moved up. Remember that Haney, Lomachenko, Teofimo generation, which is still obviously in boxing, but they all left the lightweight division. And so it was sort of empty for a second, and then it just got refilled so fast. You have so much talent. You have Zepeda, you have Morataya, you have the champions, Keyshawn, Gervonta, the Davises, and you have Shakur Stevenson, just to name a few. It's a good lightweight division. I just hope it actually turns over and they fight each other as opposed to just going on parallel directions.
All right, fellas, let's continue with the headlines over at boxingscene.com. Another belt got distributed. This now across the pond. The 626 El Monte, California has got a champion. It's Arnold Barbosa Jr. That's right. He went to Manchester, hometown-ish of Jack Catterall. Controversy, split decision, but he got the win. You can read that article, of course, at boxingscene.com. Fellas, Arnold Barbosa, what's next for him?
First off. No. First off, I'm here for one thing. To listen to Chris rant about this. Go ahead, Chris. Only reason I'm here.
Guys, this is an interim belt. So this is not belt changing hands. So let's get that out there and correct. This is an interim championship. Teofimo Lopez is the champion of the WBO. So listen, I know we live in a world of email champions where, yes, you become interim champion, then you wake up one day and then you're the actual official champion. It used to be back in the day you had to fight the champion, beat the guy who had the belt in order to make your interim an actual world title. That's not always the case these days. But right now, this is still just an interim title. Not that an interim title is no big deal or that beating Jack Catterall is no big deal. That's a big deal. But let's be honest. This is not like Keyshawn Davis dethroning the current champion, become champion. Barbosa still has to deal with Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, the question, Paulie, this is a fight that didn't impress a lot of people. He did beat Catterall, but once again, split decision, a little controversy. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's a solid win, maybe the best win of his career, nonetheless. Barbosa has always been sort of an enigma. He's a guy who's been known as a good fighter, but just hasn't had his opportunities. So it was good to see him turn this around and get this big win. To add to what the champ is saying, though, back in the day, the champs actually used to fight the top contenders. Now they don't. They just kind of hang around and make them wait. So they used to get stripped back in the day. Today they don't get stripped. They just become in recess. They give them hibernation clauses, recess clauses, all this other stuff. So the fault kind of lies on both sides here. I understand Teofimo's a big name. He's either got to shit or get off the pot with the title, though.
Chris, thoughts on that? The idea that Teofimo Lopez, you got to stir the pot a little bit to get things going. Does this stir the pot a little bit, even though it's interim?
Well, I mean, now it seems like they have to make this fight now. Right.
Teofimo
is the WBO champion. Barbosa's been chasing and calling out Teofimo for quite some time. Yes, J-Rod?
They have till August 14th to make this fight. Otherwise, Teofimo has to give up the belt.
That's a lot of time.
So just keep that in mind.
Back in the day, way back in the day, an interim champion became a full champion if the champion refused to fight him.
Right.
Like Lennox with Riddick Bowe.
Yep.
So the champion was forced to fight him, otherwise he would relinquish it to the interim champion. And that was the interim champion only became interim champion because the champion who was the real champion got an exception to get an extension. Could it be a big fight or unification or something?
I could see Teofimo actually relinquishing his belt and Barbosa being elevated via email because Teofimo apparently has been talking with Riyadh and looking at multiple fight deal out there. And it just seems like belts don't matter as much when you're over there dealing with that kind of money and they're making mega fights, super fights. So I could easily see Teofimo passing over Barbosa once again and just relinquishing the title to look for those bigger money fights, which he's been looking for anyway, in which case Barbosa would be the actual WBO champion.
The question, though, when you see like a Keyshawn Davis, you look at the technique and go, man, he's a problem for anybody. He matches up really well with a bunch of different guys. Do you get that same feeling from Barbosa? Yes, he won an interim title, or however you want to put it. The idea that tactically he can hang with a lot of guys, do you see that?
I think he's trouble for everybody. He's big for the weight class. He boxes off the back foot. He's not very engaging. He disengages. He's very good technique. Doesn't look to load up. Doesn't get fat with his punches. Doesn't get over his skis, so to speak. Listen, it leaves a lot to be desired in terms of entertaining. But the guy is effective, and he doesn't care. He'll squeak by with a 7-5, scorecard. It doesn't matter. A win's a win. The guy's undefeated for a reason.
Do you think Teofimo fights him, Paulie?
Yeah.
That's the question.
I'm not quite sure, but I agree with the champ. He's one of those guys who'll make you look bad. His best asset is that he makes you look bad. His best asset is to take away what you do best, as opposed to anything he does specifically great. I'm looking at this over here about Hitchens. That's a fight I wouldn't mind seeing, Hitchens and Barbosa. If Teofimo doesn't fight him by August, make a unification. Hitchens and Barbosa. Let's get the 140-pound division.
Let's get it cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost feels like I saw today on Rick Meridian's page, and now Truth in Advertising. Rick is the manager of Arnold Barbosa. He was saying, well, let's get Teo and Barbosa and Alcatraz. There's been that fight, but obviously it sounds like Barbosa's already looking ahead to Hitchens as a possible unification there.
But they've also been talking about Teo and Hitchinson because they have the same manager, Keith Connolly. So they've been in talks for that possible Alcatraz fight, in which case you got a unification, and in which case, once again, Barbosa is going to be pushed to the side because unification is going to trump the interim matchup.
Does Teo, after all the work he's done, does he want new champions like Hitchens and Barbosa? Does he want to keep fighting these dangerous new guys?
No, he doesn't. Champ, that's a great point because it looks like he's looking for the money fights. Obviously, he's looking for the biggest fights possible. He's calling out Jaron Ennis. He's calling out Terrence Crawford. Like he's looking for the tip top pay scale rather than just collecting new belts. He's unified at 130, 135. He's a world champion at 140 now. Once again, a title holder. I agree with you, Champ. I'm not sure how much he wants to go the hard route and start collecting belts.
All right, let's time waits for no man, as we've known. And let's talk about a little schedule. We got some fights coming up, and our friends at ProBox TV, big news. Gary Jonas, CEO of ProBox TV, won a purse bid, and we've got a fight. So let's look at the schedule. Well, big things are afoot in Central Florida. May the 10th, Erickson Lubin gets his hometown bout versus Ardrell Holmes in a 154-pound title eliminator. IBF title lurking, who for the winner of this, a shot at that belt. And let's be joined now by the man who is going to be in his hometown. It's Erickson Lubin. What's going on?
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Well, speaking of hometown, man, you haven't fought in your hometown in about 10 years. A lot of people hate hometown fights. You have, your mother wants tickets, your friends want tickets. You're dealing with stuff. How do you feel about fighting at home, man? It's been a long time.
I'm motivated, man. I'm motivated. We have people to take care of all of that. It's back home, so I could hire whoever to take care of the tickets, give this person that ticket. I don't have to be the one to deal with that, but it's just extra motivation being able to come back home and headline. 10 years ago when I was fighting back home, I was one of the openers, but now, I'm the headliner, but it really wouldn't matter where the fight was. I make the square circle my home.
Yo, Hammer.
Erickson, 18 months out. What's going on? How's that affect you?
I mean, the time off wasn't expected, but I do feel like maybe it was a gift more than a curse. You know, I was dealing with a lot of stuff outside of boxing, dealing with my injuries. You know, I couldn't take the Tim Tszyu fight during the time. So, you know, I feel like maybe I needed the time off, you know, to regroup, get myself back together. And, you know, I'm in my prime. So I'm more excited now to get in there and just show myself, man, and just show the new things I've been working on, how focused I've been, and just make a statement to the boxing world. You know, this is another undefeated fighter in front of me. This is the second undefeated fighter in a row. So I'm looking to make a statement. This is more like um it's more like a showcase for me. It's like, you know, I'm focused on winning the title and getting to that contention, but I also want to make a statement to the boxing world and just let them know that, you know, like my last fight against Fundora wasn't, not Fundora, Ramos wasn't the best I've looked in these in all of my fights. You know, a lot of people got controversial things to say about it, and some may call it a draw, but you know, dealing with a lot of things outside the ring, you know, may have affected me a little bit, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm in my prime, and I'm ready to capture the title.
Yo, Hammer, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. I will say, man, I know you've been out for a while, but I seen you in the gym. I seen you training over at ProBox TV. So, you know, just for everybody out there, you have actually been working. Now,
Yeah.
listen, a little while ago, there was some deep discussions about you and Virgil Ortiz. And, you know, we were looking like that could be the next thing. Then the next thing we know, he's fighting Madrimov. Tell us what happened there. How do you feel about that situation? Just, I don't know, just fill us in, because that was the talk for a bit.
Yeah, we were looking forward to, you know, taking on that challenge against Virgil Ortiz. I feel like I'm the best guy at 154 pounds. Whether you know, people got naysayers got things to say about it, haters got something to say about it. I feel like I'm the best at 154 pounds. But I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. You know, I've been ranked in this division since 2015. We in 2025, so I'm still here. A lot of these guys done fell off. A lot of these guys ain't here no more. A lot of these guys retired, but I'm still here. So I'm focused. I'm looking forward to the Ortiz and Madrimov fight. But although I do think Madrimov might be the winner, I'm leaning more towards him.
You cut me. I was exactly what I was going to ask you. Who you thought was going to win that one?
I'm leaning towards Madrimov.
Okay.
I feel like he got a little trickery style to him, and he got a little pop to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's going to disturb Virgil Ortiz a little bit. It's a different style for him. He gave Crawford a good matchup,
Yeah.
and you know he's one to be reckoned with in this division. I'm actually looking forward to fight him too.
So is that one of the guys that you look at that would be? You said that you think you're the best 54-pounder in the world. Is that one of those guys that you look at that's probably next in line that is going to be a challenge for you?
Yeah, he's a good fighter. He's a real good fighter.
Erickson, what, you know, you talk about you've been ranked since 2015. You're a perennial contender. What makes you make that leap to world champion? You know, there's been a lot of expectation in your career. You've been a perennial contender. You've always been hovering around the title picture. What is the change that makes Erickson Lubin a world champion?
Focus, not taking boxing for granted. You know, a lot of the times, you know, I'd have things my way and just, you know, take it for granted. But I feel like nowadays, you know, time's ticking. I still feel young, you know, but the age doesn't say, you know, I'm 29 years old. I'm still young, granted, but you know, these are my best years, so I want to take advantage for sure.
Bro, it's crazy to hear that you're 29. You've been around for so long. I
I know,
thought you
man.
were older. That's crazy. Yeah, that's literally your physical prime, though. I say it all the time. 28 to 32. That's when guys are really coming into their own, because this sport is so mental and it takes so much experience. It takes a long time to get there. But your body doesn't last as long as your brain does, or your mind does. So you're right there, man.
Yes, sir. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. May 10th, it's gonna be something special, man.
We're excited too. That's a hell of a card.
Yeah, big show, big arena, out in Kissimmee, Florida. The Silver Spurs, where they play basketball there. Hometown guy. Yeah,
and we're calling it.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
we're super excited. It's one of the biggest fights that we've had on our air. So
Appreciate you joining us, man. Looking forward
Thanks for having me, guys.
forward to great stuff May 10th, brother.
Yes, sir.
all right, keep doing the thing.
We're going to get our mind right. Trainer of the year. He's always here, going to be on Boxing Scene today, literally on his way to the airport. Let's go in the corner with Robert Garcia.
Robert, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for taking the time because we know you're traveling right now. So where are you headed? What's up?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm in the airport right now, heading to Saudi Arabia. We got to go to Riyadh. We got this big fights coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, you have Virgil Ortiz fighting Madrimov. This is a fight that kind of wasn't really expected. Madrimov was supposed to fight somebody else, and then in comes Virgil, and they talk to us about that a little bit and how this fight actually came to be.
Well, it was actually a surprise for us too because we were already pretty much set to fight Boots Ennis. We were already getting ready for Boots Ennis, but it turned out to be that Boots Ennis was decided to stay at 147 after all, and right away we got a call, that we will fight Madrimov, and we had nothing much to think about but say yes, because that's what Virgil wants. That's what Virgil's ready. That's what he wants, all the big fights. He wants all the big names, and he's in great shape for this fight.
How do you get a guy ready for a guy like Madrimov, who kind of came out of nowhere, as Chris said? Madrimov obviously put up a great fight against Bud Crawford. Doesn't have a lot of pro experience, a lot of amateur experience. How do you get a guy ready for a guy who's kind of an unknown, man?
You know what? For fighters like Madrimov, they're awkward, they're difficult, European style. But Virgil is the type of fighter that is always ready for anybody. He doesn't care what style they have. He just wants to fight the best in the world. There was other choices, other options, but when they gave us that name, that right away Virgil and his dad and the team decided, that's the guy we want to fight, because we want to fight the best. That guy just had a great performance against Terence Crawford. So now we're gonna go out there and do our job.
Robert, 154-pound division for me is my favorite in boxing right now. It's so many good fighters. I think low-key this fight could be the one that steals the show. I know everybody's expecting Beterbiev and Bivol to be a great rematch and so on and so forth, but the first one didn't have a lot of lightning bolts really in the fight. So, the second one I expected to be real tactical as well. I think Virgil...
I think they're all going to be great fights because the card itself is so good that every fight could be the main event. But I do believe that Madrimov and Ortiz will steal the night. I think they will put up the best fight of the night.
Yeah, Robert, you and I, we've been talking about Virgil for years. I remember when he was literally first coming up, and you were telling me, I got this special guy. He spars everybody in the gym. Doesn't matter the weight class. He's big, he's mean, he's in great shape. And sure enough, everything you said has been absolutely true to the highest level. Where is he in terms of his development now? How happy are you with where he's at going into these big fights? And as the champ Paulie, as you said, 154, not only our favorite division, it's probably the deepest, best division in the world today.
And he's very happy to be in this division because he knows all the hard fights are there. He knows how many big fights he could get, after another. That's why he prepares himself. He's ready to fight everybody, and he prepares himself like this is going to be, the biggest fight of his career. And come next fight, if everything goes well this Saturday, he's going to prepare as well or even better, because that's just the way his mentality is. He's got no giving up in his mind and his head. There's never going to be any giving up on him. He's always going to push himself to the extra limits.
So in a few words, he wants all the smoke.
He wants everybody. He doesn't care, And sooner than later, we'll probably go up to 160 and challenge other 160-pounders too.
Another one of your fighters, Oscar Duarte, defeated Miguel Madueño by TKO in the 7th round. Madueño's fought on our air for ProBox. That dude is as tough as nails. To get the finish there, that's a big statement, man. What are your thoughts on that fight?
You know what? When they gave me the name, 2 weeks ago, I knew it was going to be an easy fight. Madueño had some great performances, some good wins. He just recently lost to Keyshawn Davis by decision, so I knew he was going to be tough. But you know what? Duarte, he's a beast. Duarte in the gym, during training, I know he's ready for anybody. The 3 fights that we've had together, he's improved every single fight, and he showed it last night. He's the first one to stop Madueño. And looks sensational. I think his performance was great.
Robert, is he going to start calling out what's his name for a rematch? What's his
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia. I don't even want to say his name. It disgusts me. But is he going to start calling out Ryan for a rematch?
Look, I think there's
there's other names out there that make more sense. Ryan is actually at a different level when it comes to big fights and stuff like that. I think Golden Boy Promotions just have a new interim champion in Barbosa. We would love an opportunity against Barbosa. He's a champion right now. We would love that. But honestly, he's ready for anybody. The only one that obviously we can't call out, and we're never going to be fighting my fighters against each other against Rayo Valenzuela, because they're teammates. They train together. They work out together. They've sparred together. But any of the other champions, I think this guy's ready, man. Duarte, I think he could surprise everybody. I really believe so.
Robert, where did this kid come from? Because it was funny, but he gets the Ryan Garcia fight, and I remember even us, we were talking about it, we had to look him up, and we weren't super impressed. And then against Ryan, he actually did pretty good. He was competitive early on. He showed he was physically strong. Ryan said afterwards, yeah, he hits harder than Tank. And then since then, he's been on an absolute tear, looking like a completely different guy. Where did you find him? Did you see this in him before he really broke out into the scene?
You know what? I seen him since his early in his career, when he was fighting 4 and 6 rounders, fighting for Golden Boy Promotions, and I was seeing that he was a very strong kid and very dedicated. I noticed that, but then 3 fights ago, when his manager called me, said if I wanted to take over and help him, I knew the potential. So I kind of seen the same thing that happened when Marcos Maidana came to me. A little stiff, just looking for one punch, power punches. So I'm bringing in combinations, combining punches to the head, to the body, working that body really good. And he did that last night. And I think it's just one fight at a time. His first fight with me was a really good performance against Giorgio Diaz, a former world champion. Then we go to Saudi. He has a tough fight, great performance. And this one, I think, just showed all the improvement that he's been doing in the gym.
So this is why you're trainer of the year. Obviously, you see a guy, you get him, and immediately his career takes off.
You know what? I'm very careful with who I take in. When they're young, I take a lot of kids that are young, because I love those challenges. Where they start from their pro debuts to one day becoming world champions. But somebody like Duarte, who is already coming off a loss and comes to me, and maybe people don't even believe in him anymore. I love those challenges too, because that shows what team I have, because it's not just myself. I've always said, I have a great team behind me that's a big part of helping everybody out and making them better, and that's what I love to do.
Robert, with this win here, I mean, you saw Dueño has a win over Paldo. You saw how good Paldo is in our last Pro Box show. But Dueño having had a win over Paldo, surprising how easily.
I was surprised, because honestly, I expected a very tough fight, because I seen this guy, fight Paldo, and Paldo looked sensational in his last performance. He looked great in San Antonio. I was a little worried. I thought this fight was going to be way tougher than Regis Prograis. I thought Regis Prograis was a former world champion, great fighter, but I think he was already looking towards the end of his career, and I thought it was going to be a great win to beat a former world champion. But when they brought in Madueño, I knew right away that this was going to be a very, very tough fight. But look, Duarte picked him up, little by little with the combinations. Picked him up after the second round, started working the body good, great overhand rights, and that showed the improvement.
Thank you so much.
Tell you what, we are so lucky to have Robert Garcia. He's going to be on Boxing Scene today, every show when his schedule permits, obviously on his way to Saudi. Robert, before I let you go, I got to ask, it's like, 19 hours from Southern California to Saudi Arabia? Are we binging Cobra Kai? Are you listening to music? What are you going to do on that plane, man?
Yeah, I already downloaded so many movies and everything on my tablet, so I watch movies. And I fall asleep also. I fall asleep very easy in the planes, so I don't have a problem. It's gonna be an 18-hour flight, but I always fall asleep.
Robert, we appreciate you, man.
Sleeping on planes is a talent. It's a talent.
It's a superpower, Paulie. It's a superpower. It's not a talent.
I fall asleep on flights from Southern California to Vegas, which is just a 40-minute flight. I fall asleep there, so I fall asleep easy.
Hey, Robert, we appreciate you, man. Always dropping knowledge here on our show, man. Thank you so much, bud.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Thank you, guys.
Well, this was our premiere here on Boxing Scene, here on ProBox TV. Whenever you need your boxing news, tune in. That's right. We'll be around Boxing Scene today here on ProBox TV. This is where we drop knowledge. Appreciate you. For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.